What's happening, guys? We're back. We're gonna try to do some fabrication this week. Alright, so at the end of last week's episode, I said that this week we were gonna move on to some of the power distribution wiring, and we are. I'm gonna try to get some of that done. But in editing last week's video, I realized that watching somebody wire a car is like paint drying. So we're going to try to spice things up a little bit throughout the episode, do a little bit of fabrication work mixed in with a little bit of wiring. I did go and pick up some wiring goodies, like some relays. I got like, that's just heat shrink. I got one of these like bus bar, or whatever, what do they call these? Barrier strips. So that should be good to help us wire in the like the grounds and the ignition ons and stuff like that. So we are gonna do a little bit of wiring, but I want to mix in some fabrication. So we're going to mount the ECU, we're gonna mount the fuse box. If we have some time, we'll build a mount for our MAF air filter stuff, and just kind of do what comes naturally. So first things first though, we're gonna mount the ECU because that is going to allow us to plug that ECU plug in, and then all of our wires can kind of start making sense. So I got this ECU bracket. This is the one that came on the car. It's all funky because it was made to mount in the footwell, I think. So we're gonna hack off these tabs that mount to the car, but we're gonna keep the main structure along with, in the corners here, there's the mounting holes for the actual ECU. So we're gonna keep those, we're gonna weld on some new tabs, and then find a place to mount this on the car. So let's give it a whirl. All right, we got the ECU mounted, got that little bracket built. I had to drive all over Airdrie, try to find another M4 tap. The only way I could buy one was in a kit with all the other taps. So now I got 2 of every metric tap except for M4. Anyhow, that's mounted. I got the plug all wired in. I got the cover on it. That stuff's still a nightmare, but we'll figure that out later. The next step is the little bus bar, or whatever they call it, isolation strip or whatever. So I'm gonna use this particular one at least, mostly for grounding. There is 2 ECU grounds coming out of this guy, plus a sensor ground. So I'm gonna run each of those to their own block on here, and then I'll be able to ground out all the sensors to the same ground, and then I'll run a main chassis ground up and onto this and kind of bridge across. It's probably a little overkill for what I'm doing. I could probably just kind of twist and tape everything together, but this is a lot cleaner. So I'm just gonna mount this guy underneath here like that, and then I can kind of hopefully make a bit of a clean routing of all of our wires. So let's do that. All right, I skipped ahead a little. Well, I skipped ahead a lot on you guys. I got the bus bar isolation strip, whatever the hell you want to call it, mounted here, and then I started running my grounds, and I realized that it's super boring for you guys to watch, so I just did it off camera. So I have all of my grounds from the ECU ran to this bar, and then there's a couple here that have to go to the engine. But I think we might do another kind of engine grounding strip on here, and then run a full engine ground harness, because there's a couple spots that we have to ground this engine out. That's fine, we can do that later. All of these individual spots on here are gonna get all tied together with a little jumper pack later, and then we'll run one main ground from this strip down to a grounding post that'll then go to the battery. So we'll do all that later. I got all of my power wires pulled out as well. So these are things for like the ECU hot. There's an ECU fuse or relayed power on here. There's an injector power on here. These are all gonna feed up into the fuse box. It's gonna get mounted right here and then get fed from the battery. I got a handy dandy wiring diagram here that shows me which ones are relayed, which ones are fused and whatnot. But I'm getting really sick and tired of filming wiring, so I can't even imagine how sick you guys are of watching it. So I'm gonna leave that. I'm just gonna do it off camera because I want to. So we'll do that off camera, and instead what we're gonna do to finish up the episode today is we're gonna build a mount for our MAF sensor and our air filter and everything. Because it's so floppy, we need something to hold it up so we can leave it installed. So I think it's gonna be a pretty simple piece of bent aluminum that'll bolt on to those 4 bolts on that adapter piece that we made the other week. And then come down, rest on top of our tunnel here. We'll punch in a couple holes there and bolt it down there. So let's give that a whirl. All right, that is far from the easiest bracket to install. In order to get the bolts in down to this tunnel cover panel, I have to like fish my arm in through a whole bunch of sharp objects, but it's in there now. Our MAF is held up, our air filter's held up, our intake's fairly solid, so I'm gonna call that project done and dusted. And that's where I'm gonna end the episode. We got the intake mounted. We got a huge amount of wiring done. I still have to do a whole bunch more, but like we talked about, I'm gonna do that off camera because it's boring. So next week, I don't know what we're gonna do next week. When I know, you guys will know. So in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media, and we'll see you next week. I'm out of here.